Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a Dadbod to Daddy transformation vlog, and today was shoulder day, and yeah, we're pretty much doing what we've been doing all week, coming in and doing the 3 exercises I have planned, and then 1 optional always on the list available. So for me at the moment it's going to be seated press, upright row, and then rear delt raises. So again, this workout's going to be a little bit shorter. In fact, I ran one of my sets of presses through just at the end to get it long enough. For those unaware, I like to get these to 8 minutes for the tubes. So what I did on these, because I'm minimizing some of this and I want the best carryover, I'm going with the press with a nice wider grip, very similar to my bench and my incline grip. Yes, it's harder. Yes, I struggle with it more, but that's besides the point. I can do more weight with the other, but this will give me probably better overall shoulder development because I go a little bit wider. I do feel the side delts and stuff a little bit on it. And so again, we just get better overall benefits, better overall carryover. Now I struggle with 5 reps on that, even with this weight. And something I've said recently looking at my benching, honestly on my bench, I feel almost like my delts may be my limiting factor on the bench. Okay, and I'm saying that as a coach, objectively, who can look at my own footage, my own bar paths, all of those things, can look at what I feel when I do it. So really doing more of this overhead pressing is almost a bench accessory for me in that situation. Also keeping in mind it carries over to the inclines. Another reason I'm doing this setup, so I'm going seated, right? Seated instead of standing again for the incline carryover, because I have a minimal number of exercises. Well, I say that, but if I have a minimum of 3 every workout, that's 15 different exercises. I don't have minimalist programming. I have more minimalist volume, pushing hard, progressive overload. So what we're going to see with that is me carefully selecting a lot of these movements, right? I have my basic movements, and then I have stuff to fill in the gaps, and that includes all the way up to training rear delts, training calves, training forearms, training neck, okay? I'm still going to keep 2 types of curls in because my biceps need the work. And that's another topic worth talking about too with balancing physiques. I've definitely seen some interesting ideas on that from some of the really, really good natural bodybuilding coaches out there. And in my case, it's purely a matter of my biceps were undertrained for years, plus I have that previous injury. So for me, that really is an imbalance due to imbalanced training. But as far as balancing a lot of your physique, I thought he raised an interesting point. He says, look, we have all these different classes, even in natural bodybuilding, just men and women. He goes, instead of trying to change your balanced physique, why don't you just train everything 100% balance and then land in the class that you should be in. Land in the class that your genetics and structure dictate you should be in with your proportions and size. Instead of trying to fix imbalances, just accept that that's your structure and train everything maximally for full, proper balanced training, and let your physique land where it will. In my case, that means a little bit more bicep priority because I did undertrain it. So again, it's just an interesting philosophy. So what I did with a lot of this, though, I took these to failure. Those seated presses were to failure too. It's just that people may not realize it because I just get stuck at the bottom. And I can't do another rep without cheating, so it just looks like, okay, we just ended the set. These, you actually see the failure. You see the failure. And yes, I'm aware as I'm in the middle of the cut and the water's whooshing down, the waistline's a little saggier today. It will probably tighten up next week. I have a feeling it's going to be nice and tight because that's always what happens with the carbs. When I cut carbs down, go through a little bit of a transition there, and then it whooshes. So on these, I did rest pause, and that's something I'm going to do more of. You know, people say, well, how do we get away with this sort of training? You're only doing about 6 sets of muscle group. Keeping in mind, there is overlap on things, okay? Obviously, my overhead press has some chest overlap. Obviously, my incline has some shoulder overlap. Triceps, I do 3 different types of presses every week, and then my extensions. Delts get a lot. So there's definitely some carryover, but we want to make sure everything gets at least 6 sets. So with a lot of it, it's going to be intensity techniques. So most of my work is going to be to failure. Some exercises are not as safe. You know, obviously benching, incline, but I may start doing some rest pause on those. I have safety bars. I'm not going to get pinned. I'm not going to get hurt. So I did a rest pause on that, right? We got to failure and then managed to squeeze out 3 more reps that way. Okay, the rear delt raises, I decided to do the exact same thing. We did 3 sets to failure, and on the 3rd set them back down on the ground, try to squeeze out a rep. I managed to set them back down on one of them and squeeze out a couple. So the idea here is making sure that these sets are quality. So if we're going to do 6 sets a week, again, not counting the overlap, because overlap is there, we're going to do that. So every muscle is going to get worked. So that's really going to be the key of making a system like this work. It's just about training harder, training smart, training hard, but we don't need to spend hours in the gym. This was a 30-minute workout. 30, 45-minute workouts can be extremely efficient. You can make your gains. And again, it's not like this is new. I mean, people can argue in the evidence-based circles all they want, but there was tons of evidence not that long ago showing this stuff did work. And it's just a certain circle with a divergent amount of information. And, we've seen it work in the real world for decades. Okay? But the people who do this train hard. And train hard means going to failure, occasional little extra stuff. All right? So that's really, really the key to making it work, and then focusing on progressive overload. And that would be my take home with all of this. This sort of training makes you hard. It makes you dense. Okay? You get lean enough, people can see a difference because we are focused on tension. We are focused on progressive overload and just nice, dense, hard myofibrillar growth. It does produce a different type of physique. It can produce a very hard look. And I mean, people can kind of see that while I'm sitting there with some of that, even though I'm not super lean yet. You kind of see that muscle density under there starting to come out. And as I get leaner and we continue with this, it'll show more and more. But yeah, so right there, the rest pause, setting it back down, doing more. So going to failure, waiting a few seconds, doing another rep, even if it means setting it back down, turning it loose. Again, this way that we know that we reached muscle failure. And it's stuff you can do on a last set, on a very last set. And that's how you do training like that. So again, it's going to be more the direction I go. I'm going to continue the 5-day-a-week training though with this, even though I have some clients who we do 3 days and they do just great. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.